Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the invisible forces that are quietly draining your bank account and keeping you financially trapped. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this because we're going to unpack something that affects almost all of us, yet it rarely gets talked about in traditional finance. We're going to break down this silent tax on your future, and way more importantly, show you exactly how to break the emotional spending loop for good. So why do you still feel broke, even with a decent salary? It's a wildly frustrating paradox, isn't it? I mean, you work incredibly hard, you earn a solid income, maybe you even get a raise, and yet the money just seems to vanish. If you're like most young professionals out there, you are likely paying a silent tax that keeps you stuck living paycheck to paycheck. It's that exhausting feeling of just treading water, where your income goes up, but your bank balance stays exactly the same. Section 1. The Silent Wealth Tax. Now that silent tax, it isn't taken by the government. It's actually a tax levied by your own internal stress. There's this great quote, "Emotions are the most expensive inputs in your financial system." You know, we're often taught to think of money as pure math. We think it's just about spreadsheets, interest rates, and budgeting rules. But in reality, our daily financial decisions are heavily driven by psychological traps. When we're tired, stressed, or just burnt out, our logic takes a total backseat. We use our hard-earned cash to basically medicate our feelings. Think about ordering a $50 takeout feast simply because you had a brutal afternoon meeting. That right there creates massive invisible leaks in your wealth. Section 2. The Emotional Spending Loop. Let's actually deconstruct how retail therapy creates a permanent loss of your hard-earned capital. It happens in 4 very predictable steps. First, a high-stress day triggers a purchase. You're completely exhausted from a long day at the office and your brain is just demanding a reward. Second, you buy the item and a brief emotional high follows. For a few minutes, you feel great. But then comes step 3. The financial hangover sets in. The thrill completely fades, often by the time the package even hits your doorstep. And finally, step 4. Guilt and permanent capital loss. This cycle is painfully predictable. You use a temporary purchase to solve internal burnout. You get a fleeting emotional spike, and then the inevitable guilt and financial reality set in. Section 3. The True Cost of Comfort. To actually break this survival cycle, we've got to transition from a sympathetic view of our stress to a pretty brutal clinical calculation of what we are actually throwing away. We have to look at opportunity cost. That's the future wealth you permanently sacrifice when choosing short-term emotional comfort today. Every single spending decision you make is a trade. When you buy impulsively, you aren't just trading cash from your checking account, you're actively trading away your future financial freedom. You're trading away the options, the security, and the peace of mind that your future self desperately needs. The visual difference here is honestly staggering. We're looking at a comparison of a simple $100 impulse buy today versus its compounded value over several decades. If you take that $100 spent on an emotional whim, maybe on some gadget you'll forget about in a week, and instead invest it, it doesn't just stay $100. Thanks to compound interest, it explodes into thousands of dollars. When you make that emotional purchase, you aren't just losing $100 today. You are literally stealing thousands of dollars from your future self. Section 4. Master the 48-hour rule. Real wealth requires emotional discipline, and that means you need a system that doesn't just rely on raw, easily exhausted human willpower. Because let's face it, human willpower eventually fails us all. That system is the number 48. It's your new financial superpower. The rule is incredibly simple but wildly effective. If an item is non-essential, you must wait exactly 48 hours before clicking that buy button or taking it up to the register. No exceptions. So why does this work so perfectly? Well, it's basically a battle between a fading emotional high and returning logical thought. During the exact moment you want to buy something, the urgency feels absolute. It feels like a life or death necessity. But during that crucial 2-day window of the 48-hour rule, the emotional urgency completely fades away. The dopamine drops. And what happens? Logical thinking returns. You step back into the driver's seat of your brain. By the time those 48 hours are up, you'll usually find you completely forgot why you even wanted the item in the first place. And boom, you just effortlessly saved your money. Section 5. Think like an owner. Once you plug those financial leaks caused by emotional buying using the 48-hour rule, you can make the ultimate shift, moving from a consumer mindset to an owner mindset. Consumers trade cash for temporary status and fleeting comfort. Average earners are inherently consumers. They buy depreciating assets like luxury cars or designer clothes, mostly to just look successful. Owners, however, trade cash for compounding assets. The truly wealthy buy productive assets, like index funds, real estate, or business equity, that actually make money while they sleep. They don't buy status, they buy freedom. Because at the end of the day, real wealth requires emotional discipline. It's not just about earning more money, it's about managing the mind that directs the money. You have the power to pause and recognize that your feelings are an incredibly expensive way to manage stress. When you cultivate this discipline, you completely take the emotional noise out of the equation. Stop letting temporary feelings dictate your long-term freedom. Really think about that. Every time you say no to an emotional impulse, every single time you walk away from that online shopping cart, you are saying a massive, resounding yes to your future independence. You are choosing your future freedom over a present-day distraction. To protect the wealth you are building, you absolutely must control your impulses today. This means setting up those automated saving and investing systems so the money is gone before you can even spend it. It means using the 48-hour rule consistently to act as a buffer against your own brain. And it means proactively putting your money into assets that actually serve you rather than liabilities that just drag you down. So I want to leave you with this provocative question. Will you continue trading your future freedom for today's fading comfort? That is the ultimate trade-off for you to decide on. You know the exact cost of emotional spending now. You know the mechanics of the trap. Audit your habits today, implement that 48-hour rule, and start making the shift from a consumer to an owner. Take back control of your financial destiny. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to start protecting your future self right now.